All right, guys, welcome to the Reseller Island podcast. My name is Jake. I go by J Red Flips. You guys all know my co-host here, Sunny. We decided to start this podcast, and we have named it the Reseller Island podcast. You guys have all heard the phrase eBay Island. We all know that reselling can be actually very lonely. The majority of the things that we do in this business, sourcing, shipping, and packing items, especially listing items, can be very lonely. So, kind of the feeling behind this podcast is we want to kind of be your guys' co-workers. I want you guys to kind of listen to this in the background while you're doing those lonely things of listing and shipping, or like on your route, maybe in your car to your sourcing locations. You guys can have us playing in the background. We can all be kind of co-workers together. We understand that, like, on paper, we're all actually competitors. We're all trying to sell stuff on the same platforms, and we're technically competing with each other. But honestly, I feel like here in this eBay community, this reselling community, we can be more coworkers, and we can all kind of hang out together on the resellers island. So we have kind of a vision for this podcast. We kind of break it down into three different sections each week, between 15 and 30 minutes for each section, maybe a little longer, depending, just whatever happens. The first segment of the podcast, we just kind of want to talk about a reselling topic that we can kind of, give some information about, whether that be talking about how to source better items, have better titles, item specifics, sourcing methods, things like that. The second segment of the podcast, we want to talk about Sunny and I's sourcing and sales of the week, like opportunities that we had to get items, kind of how we find them, things that we have sold, how long they took to sell, things that you guys can be looking for as well. And then the third part of the podcast, we just kind of want to hang out, talk about our personal lives, maybe talk sports, maybe talk finance, maybe talk hikes, maybe talk food, just whatever kind of comes up. We just want to kind of hang out. I guess we said this to Sunny, it just kind of popped in my mind. Maybe we can call that segment like the reseller water cooler, where we all just hang out and talk the stuff.
Just chill.
But yeah, so that's kind of the podcast. We want to be your guys' coworkers. We want to have guests on periodically. I have actually a couple of resellers in my area that have zero social media presence whatsoever. They're just straight up resellers. We wanted to invite them on. We want to invite you guys onto the podcast as well. We want YouTubers big and small. We want to be your guys' coworkers, and we want everyone to come hang out. That's kind of the synopsis of the podcast. And the first thing that we want to talk about is how to make reselling less lonely.
Man, for me, it's lonely being by yourself, of course, but it's good to have background noise. That's definitely one, but I hate even calling it noise now. I feel like valuable information. I guess we'll find the
Yeah.
wording as we go. But one thing for me that I found getting out of feeling lonely is that when I go and source to not just push myself to talk to people, I may not look shy, but I'm shy when it comes to encountering people and, being too friendly at times. Like I'm still trying to find a balance with things. But getting out, when you get out, ask people, what'd you find? Talk to them, mingle with them. That's part of it. Not just being inside your house, but when you get out, just getting to know other people. Just baby steps in ways. For some people, talking to others is
Yeah. Kind of going back to one of those original points that I made, we're all kind of competitors. Even on this level here in my local town, like you guys have seen in my TikToks and my YouTube videos, that like there's a huge line and then a rush to get into the door at the start of the day at each of my the start of each of the day at my thrift store, and we're all literally competing against each other. But it's weird because we're all kind of friends too. Like I have a ton of buddies in line with me, even going for the same exact items as I do, and we just, we go get our stuff, and then at the end we all just kind of look up all of our items together and we chat and we're like, oh hey, I don't want to deal with this, do you want it, things like that. And if it wasn't for like actually opening your mouth and like actually talking to those people, I would actually not get as many items if it wasn't for making those connections with my competitors.
distractions. At times, people are distracting as well, but I think that goes. You got to focus on your goal. I do get tied up and being long winded with people at times, but I just figure, we're all going someplace and getting to the lonely part. They might be going through the same thing too. So I think there's been times where like 15 minutes, I just hung out with a person or two and just talked to them, and then after a while, I'm starting to realize, hold on, I need to find some stuff and you know follow back into my
You see that
business.
in your videos.
When you say yeah, a lot, that's common in my videos. For competitor wise, I do want to ask you. So I like the way that I feel this podcast is going to go, because I watch your content and I see things, and it is different than mine. We pick a lot of
Hmm.
different things. But for you, when you say people are competitive with one another, we are competitors with one another. But what do you mean by that with you, of who's competitive with what? I know you just said some of your friends and people you mingle with look for the same things. What are those same things?
Hmm.
Electronics, apparel, certain brands,
Yeah. So there's a couple of guys in particular that we all rush to the same section. And we have there's a in my thrift store there's like a wall of electronics, and at one end of the wall it's like lamps and alarm clocks, and then at the other end it's like remote controls and DVD VCR combo players. And in
you do love
Yeah,
remote
and in the
controls,
middle of that there's like, this is pretty rare, but there's game consoles, and then there's also controllers and headphones and stuff. And so I go to the corner that has the remotes and the DVD VCR combo players, while my friend John goes to the middle and tries to get the consoles and the games, and then my other friend really just goes for the same place and tries to compete with John. John and Leif go at those, and then we just kind of spread out from there. And then they go over to the CDs and stuff, while I go over to the kitchen appliances, and then it gets even more spread out from there. But especially that first initial like 2, 3, 4 minutes, we're like very politely at each other's throats kind of thing. Like, we're because it's weird because we are legitimately friends and we're buddies. But
right?
like it's like we're going for the same stuff and we're respectful about it. And then it's funny because like at the end, we all like after the 15 or 20 minute rush, we just head over to the like dressers and desks and we just start looking stuff off on our phone. And then I'm like, oh, dude, John, you got the Bose thing, dude. You got that wave system before I did. He's like, yeah, man. And then it's just weird, but we're like happy for each other, but also disappointed that we didn't get the item at the same time, which is funny.
Right. Is there ever anything you overlook
Oh,
and somebody
100%,
gets?
yeah. And there's a lot of times where,
Like literally right next to
yeah,
you.
because one of my friends, he is the first person in line. He gets there. It opens at 9, and he gets there at 8:15, and then just sits there in the cold until the doors open. And I hate the cold, so I'm okay with being like the 35th person in line, 25th person in line, and then everyone else is just kind of somewhere in the middle. But sometimes he'll bolt through and he'll pass by something, and then me or Leif or Jay or one of the other people will pick it up, and then he'll be like, "Oh, how did I miss that? Darn it!" Uh,
Rushed.
but yeah, it's just so weird that we're all competing, but then like they'll be like, "Oh, hey, I just don't want to. I'm just not super confident in this camera, and it has corrosion on it. I don't know how to deal with that. I know that you do that. I know you grab every single camera. So here, do you just want this?" And they just give it to me, and then I'll be the same with like,
Mhm.
"Hey, man, like I'm not a super huge expert on video games. It has a ton of scratches. Do you just want it? Because I know you'll collect it even if it doesn't work." And so it's just those small exchanges back and forth.
And some of those cameras are super easy to
Hmm.
clean up. It's with the corrosion on the little springs. Usually, it just takes a little wad of aluminum
Uh-huh.
foil. It gets those little wrinkles and crevices, and you just scrape it off, away from your eyes, because it is dangerous
Yeah.
to get in it. Usually put it over. Usually works. I just did that with the camera that I found out in California that I went to rummage sale recently, and it worked. Even the flash that went with it.
Yep.
So rather than passing it on and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to test it," it sucker works, and it's probably like with the lens and everything's over $120. Got it for a couple of
Yep.
dollars.
Same thing
So
with a little bit of white vinegar. If you just spray a little bit of white vinegar, it has a
right.
chemical reaction, it bubbles, and then you just wipe her off, and she's good to go.
I just can't stand the
Uh huh.
scent of vinegar, so I don't mess with it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
But yeah, no, it's it's
Can't
it's
stand
an
the scent of it.
interesting concept that we're all literally, like if I get an item, it means that somebody else didn't, and if somebody else gets an item, it means that I didn't. But at the same time, it's just like, dude, there's just so much to go around. What do you think about like all the people on your TikToks and YouTube? It's like, dude, you're giving away your secrets, man. You're putting
I don't
yourself
think it's
out
a
of
secret,
business.
because we learn much of what we learned from somebody else, and then just found little things that other people don't know about. We're just picking up where we left off. That's all you can
Yeah.
do. It's not a secret when it's been out there for years.
Centuries, man. Like a lot of people think that like TikTok is like what made resellers. It's like, nah, dude, this has been going on just before we were all born, man.
Yeah, it's just thrift stores is a new concept. As I think I said a while back, I was like, "Oh, I wish thrift stores were around when I was
Uh-huh.
a kid." And one of my viewers said, "Thrift stores only been around for so long."
Yeah.
I was like, "You're right." But there has been bazaars before thrift stores were bazaars and places like that over other countries that they would barter and trade
Yeah.
with. But thrifting, in a sense, is almost
So
the
I
same.
lived in Mexico for 2 years, serving a mission, and they have what's called tianguis. So it's just a flea market, and they just shut
Mm.
down a whole street within a town, and they just set up booths and they sell fresh fruit and vegetables, knock off Nike, knock off Vans, knock off everything, and then people are also selling just everything you could imagine. And so like that's like huge and part of the culture in Mexico, at least the areas where I lived in. It's just it just depends on the town you're in. Every Tuesday or every Thursday or every Sunday, you just wake up and the tianguis are going, man. It's wild.
Is that would that be the first place that you went to a thrift store at? Would be one of
No,
those
so
things?
thrift stores have always been around when I was a kid, especially here in Utah. We have the Deseret Industries. Um, so my grandparents would thrift, would go to Deseret Industries in like the 60s and 50s and stuff like that. So they've always been around for my whole life.
Hmm.
But yeah, when was Goodwill's inception? Let's see.
I don't know, but my first time thrifting and even hearing about thrifting was in a matter of 2 minutes when my wife told me about
Mm-hmm.
it. When I couldn't find a job here in Vegas on time or fast enough, my wife was telling me about thrifting from her coworkers, and that led to the question of what's thrifting, and then second was what's a thrift
Mm-hmm.
store, and she named Goodwill, and Goodwill happened to be right across the street as we were driving, and we went right over. So this year actually makes me 7 years on YouTube, but 6 years reselling. So that was last month. So I've only been reselling since
Yeah.
2017, February 2017. So that it's all new to me still. It still feels like I'm a baby learning about
Oh yeah, dude, for sure.
everything.
I've only been reselling for like I think it's 26 months now, 2 years and 2 months. So yeah.
Damn, who's counting?
Started on the good old Gary Vee.
No, you're doing very well, and you're successful in a lot of things that you do. And one thing you did mention in the past, uh, when people they asked you specifically, was and you replied back was, how do you work or be as successful as you am and focus on discipline? And you said it's just in your DNA. You're disciplined and you got your whys and your goals. And for me, it's struck hard because I tend to use discipline as I'll do it tomorrow, and I pretty much promise myself that I'm going to do it, and then I kick myself in the butt. So to hear it from actual first time ever from anybody, rather than you need to find motivation, it was more of that's your only option is that you're disciplined. So for me, I was like, man, and being 40, 40 something years old, learning from a younger person, like there's still a lot to learn. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I'm proof as well as hundreds of thousands of people. You could still learn from
I learned
anybody
so
of all
much from
ages.
14-year-olds on TikTok. Yeah, like I really do. Like there's some sharp
Yeah,
14-year-olds out there on TikTok that know more than I do,
yeah.
especially when it comes to like fashion. Because like I've sold a lot of things solely because I saw some kid on TikTok talking about like just some sort of different variation of Polo Ralph Lauren shorts, and he's like, I wouldn't be caught dead in these ones, but I only buy these ones, and it's like, okay, sweet, I just need to look for those ones. That's what's selling right now. Pretty wild. Like you just learn from everyone indirectly or directly. But when it comes to like the motivation thing, I have grown up in Utah, and I have been a jazz fan my whole life, and I just watched Kobe Bryant destroy us every single year. And I can't even remember when I heard him say this, but he said, from a young age, I heard someone say, finish, never stop in the middle, only stop when it's done. And I guess that just has stuck with me. I've never stopped in the middle. Of course I have. You stop in the middle all the time. You need a break. You don't accomplish everything every single day, every single year, every single decade. But that just kind of sticks with me. Like every time I want to like actually just kind of chill, I just hear Kobe say, "Don't stop till the end."
Yeah.
It's weird. Change out this chair. This one's squeaking.
And the viewers will be upset.
The who else has a squeaky
People
chair? We're
talk
leaving
about
this
this
in here
in
in
my
this
lives
meeting.
and videos all the
Maybe not.
time. They're like, "Oh,
It looks like a lawn
yeah."
chair with
But
wheels.
yeah, good stuff.
No, the one you're on. The one you're on
Uh
now
huh.
looks like a lawn chair with wheels.
Yeah, I'm getting another chair. I'm actually people hate it when people say things like this, but I'm actually getting a chair given to me, and all I have to do is do a 60-second reel on it. So I'm getting a nice little gamer chair that's worth like $440 or something like that. So that'll be pretty dope.
Is this like a review
Yeah.
type of collab
Yep.
or?
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, tips on how to make the job less lonely. We talked about, just like actually talking with people in the thrift stores and stuff like that.
Yeah, mingle.
But yeah, also,
It's part of not being lonely and finding ways, and you don't have to be with anybody to not feel
mhm,
lonely, to have people in the background talking something that you're interested in, something that you could pause and come back to and say, wait, what did Jay Wright say on that thing? Because that's something I've been trying to find an answer for. So you could always come back and forth, but it's really good to have. I love to have a noise that I'm interested in, not just any noise. It has to be the right music for the mood that I'm in. It has to be the kind of content that I want to learn about, and not just the whatever. I find myself wanting to look and listen at things that are beneficial to me.
mhm.
It's not just for nothing.
And a lot of people, especially beginners, tell me that they don't have support from their spouse or their parents or their siblings or
Family.
things like that. Tell me about your experience with your wife and her relationship with reselling, good and bad.
Well, she's the one that got me into it, but later on down the road, I thought with as much family that I had back in Texas and throughout the states that I was going to grow fairly quickly, and it was a complete opposite. People still don't understand what reselling is or even YouTube on my end of family, right? So I don't get much support in that, but I do get support in a lot of other things. It's just some people are cavemanish like. I don't want to click on that because I feel I got to pay for something.
Uh-huh.
Like if I subscribe, it's going to charge me some magical way, and there's still a lot of people like that. So the support for me, I've learned not to, this may sound rude, but not to have so much faith in people when it's me who am doing what I want to do, and it's up to me to invest in myself, to believe in myself. And along the way, you're gonna attract the people that are interested in the same thing. And word of mouth, which goes back to the first thing we were talking about, mingling with others, that's also going to be part of your networking with others, whether you know it or not. A friendship ends up being something that passes information from Jay to myself to somebody else, and it benefits one another in time. So it's good to really connect with people, especially people in your own community, physically.
Mhm. Just as entrepreneurship as a whole, it never makes sense to people. So like if people are giving you backlash about being a reseller, they might be talking about reselling specifically, but they're really just talking about going out on your own and being an entrepreneur. Because there's just so much pushback to that idea of like, well, you're not going to get a consistent paycheck. What about healthcare? What about all these things? And actually ends up once you start really establishing yourself as an entrepreneur and as a reseller, like the insurance benefits and the tax benefits are even better than having a job at really anywhere else. But we can get to that at a different time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everyone just has this stigma of like, oh man, you're just selling stuff from thrift stores. Like, what are you
Yes.
what are you doing? And like even before that, I owned my own pest control company, which I sold off in chunks as I was building my reselling business. But even owning a company with an LLC and Facebook ads, Google ads, and we had a big old sign and the trucks said Flex Pest Control on it, and it was super legit. People are still like, why are you going on your? Why are you running your own business though, dude? Like, do you have a safety net? Like, is everything gonna be okay? And you just have to be comfortable with people not always believing you or not always being by your side when it comes to owning your own business or just selling things from. Because selling things from yard sales and thrift stores sound even more ridiculous than having a pest control company. So you're not always gonna have everyone on your side, but you can still be successful, and people do come around. Not everyone's going to
Yeah.
come around. Even if you make $3 million a month, you're still going to have people like you're still just going to have people that are like, I don't know, man. There's just no security. So you just got to be okay with going out on your own
That
and doing it.
that's the key word is security. A lot of people, it's a different generation of what it was me growing up compared to you being, say, younger to me. It's a different time frame of what hardships were and
Yeah.
what we didn't have, like social media. I couldn't really imagine how much news would have came out in the past compared to now. It would be even much, much more. But the security blanket, it's huge because that's what you depend on. That's where you're trained. You graduate, you go to college. If you can't go to college, then you just
Yeah.
work. You grind it out. And now people, it's a thing, a cliche, but very true. Work smarter, not
Yep.
harder. You're gonna work hard for a while to get to where you need to, and then you get to the point to where you just want to maintain
I look at this every day.
or advance.
Work smarter and harder. That's just of
Mm.
both worlds.
But see, even like that, I love things like that. That we are trained in a way to think a certain way, but then you have somebody that will come up and say it differently,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, another light bulb goes on.
Uh-huh.
So I love when people make their own definitions. Which I, for the last couple of months, last year, I would say, find what makes you happy. But I then started implementing saying you have to make that your own definition of what it means to you. Is it money? Is it having more things? Is it bragging about reselling, or even if it's not bragging, because people do as resellers in a way we
Yeah.
do brag about stuff, to say what we got to validate what we're doing, and is also a pride type of badge. I'm finding stuff, I'm learning stuff, you can too, and that's the whole point of all of this is really you can too. If we wanted to just gatekeep stuff, we wouldn't be sharing the content that we do.
Mhm. Yeah. Again, reselling can be super lonely, and being an entrepreneur and owning your own business can be super lonely, but it just I don't know. You just got to be comfortable with being by yourself and then just adding on as many people as you can that are going to support you. Because even my wife is like the most supportive person in the world. I told her that
Nice.
phrase just barely that I just showed on the wall like 7 or 8 times over the course of a month. So she just put it in a plaque for me. Like that's just how supportive and awesome
Nice.
she is. So it's really nice to have a spouse that just literally has my back no matter what. She sees me as this capable guy that can just take on the world, and she's okay if I fail and she's okay if I succeed, and she's just going to have my back no matter what. So that truly helps me when it comes to reselling, when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But I know a lot of people don't
Support
have
is
that.
huge.
And the
Yeah.
advice that I give for that is one thing that can really help with a spouse that's not completely on board is money talks. If you're making 3 sales a week and you're bringing in $62, I honestly, you don't really super deserve a ton of support at that point. But if you're making 300 sales a month and you're bringing in $4,000 of profit, $86 of revenue, 8,600 in revenue, things like that, your spouse is silently going to become more and more and more and more supportive, and there's going to be less tension and less kickback and things like that.
Yeah, the kickback with what you just said, people would probably jump at, like, who's gonna some people don't have what we have available around
Yeah,
them. And to me, I believe that you don't always have to be a full-time reseller and make
yeah,
thousands, but you do have to have a financial goal if you want to get into reselling to actually make a profit on to benefit you. So I like to tell people, look at what you really need to make a difference in your life, even if it's just monthly. $50 could go a long way for people to have just extra money in your pocket. Then once you go through the steps of just reselling, it's to me it's super easy. It's just learning. And then once you get say $50, you're gonna be like, wait, I made $50 off of just these super easy things to do out of time and enjoy finding stuff. You're gonna find larger items, more valuable items, maybe even cheaper. You just have to learn, and then you'll be making several $100s. But you have to really apply yourself and not make excuses.
exactly.
If you don't have thrift stores, you have to look online. Some people travel for hours and spend a whole day at the bins. So it's not for you to prove it to anybody else but yourself of what your why is.
hmm And it's also important to pace yourself and communicate all along the way. Because if I'm the
Yeah.
breadwinner and I'm making, let's say, I don't know. I think a lot of people make like four or five or $6,000 a month out there. Let's say I'm making $5,000 a month, and then I tell my spouse, "Hey, I watched this guy named Gary V go to yard sales, and then I found this guy named Harry Tornado and this guy named Daily Refinement, and like I'm super pumped about this. I'm gonna give my 2 weeks, and I'm just gonna start yard selling and selling on eBay." Well, pump the brakes, like
Yeah.
so. Once you start making that $50 a day or a week or a month that you're talking about, that's awesome. But keep that job and then scale up and scale
Yeah.
up. I think Dwayne the Rock Johnson always says, or it's like, don't work for somebody else for 8 hours and then come home and not work for yourself, but also don't work 8 hours for yourself without establishing a backdrop, because you can't just jump right in and be like, you know what, yeah, Gary Vee is right, let's do this. You got to scale it up, and as you scale, you're going to get more and more and more support from others, and you're going to make more contacts, and this is going to be a legitimate worthwhile thing.
Yeah, you reminded me of when working for others. I've always did great working for other
Yeah.
people. I've always shined just naturally, and I would never see the accolades that came with it. It was more of responsibility, same pay, more
Hmm.
work. I feel like I did a ton more than other people, and I felt like I was competing with people that weren't even trying.
Yeah.
So when I started looking more towards reselling being my full time, I could have did it 2 years before that, maybe even a year into it. But the I had to prove it to my wife for a moment that I could do this. And then when I did, it took a while for her to give me a
Yeah.
thumbs up until I got frustrated with work, and I was like, I don't need to deal with this. I don't need her to sign a permission
Yeah.
slip. Like, I'm ready to do this now. So I did it, and it was kind of, on my own. This is like when you do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do reselling full time. Is it gonna cover my bills and then some? Because you don't want to just cover things. You want to make extra funds on top of that. So you don't have to worry, because then it would be, why wouldn't I just stay at my work where it's a lot easier and I could do the bare minimum if I wanted to? But that actually pushed me to be full time, of knowing that I've grown so much that it was a no brainer. And it was more beneficial for me to do this than to work for somebody else who I was putting in work 8 hours a day. And along with what you said, I was looking at, if I could work for somebody this hard for this long, why can't I work harder for myself?
Hmm.
And that light bulb always stayed on that way. And I think that's important for people to remember. If you could work hard for a company, you could work a lot harder for yourself, because it's for you, nobody else.
Yeah. But then there's the other side of that. A lot of people, they work really hard for their employer, and then they slowly scale, and they're like, okay, I have like 3 hours worth of work to do every night after my job. So they just go at it for 3 hours. And then they scale and they get to a point where they can leave their job. And then they're like, oh, I can wake up whenever I want. I can source whenever I want. Man, it's actually hard to just work 2.5 hours for myself during the whole 18 hours or 16 hours that I'm awake. And so that's also a balance
Wait,
thing.
did you just say you only work 2 hours?
No, I don't. I really enjoy work.
I was gonna say I don't believe
No,
that.
but there's a lot of people that like, it's like, wow, like working the 9 to 5 actually makes sense. Like I just get to work at 9 and I work until 5, and I'm not ultra productive the whole time, but like I have someone watching over me, making sure I'm hitting metrics. But when I work for myself, I'm in charge of my own destiny, and sometimes I just want
You
to
are.
play golf for 6 hours instead of go source and list and ship. And so a lot of people fall into that trap as well sometimes.
Yeah, it is a lot different of having this like undertone pressure of having to be on time for somebody,
Hmm.
for a company, to appear a certain way, groom a certain way, just to be on the go. Then when you have that freedom of nobody over your shoulder or supervision, to be like, I'm gonna sleep in a day.
Yep.
And then it becomes a habit every day, and then you start to realize, well, if I had woke up the same time that I did, I could have been productive up until lunch, and then called it a wrap. People have different schedules, different hours. I'm calm all over the place with the way my lifestyle is, but it's coming together a lot better. And one of the biggest things is being organized, which we'll talk about later on.
Yeah. And then if you're good at this job, you can justify it even better, because you're like, I only worked 12 hours this week, but I still make
Yeah,
$2,000. So yeah, I'm good. I'll sleep in.
yeah.
I'm paying my bills with only 12, 15 hours of work. And yeah, a couple little pitfalls, but just some last actionable tips about how to make reselling less lonely. Cat the Nurse Flipper and Rod Picking and Punching every Tuesday night. That's where you can be to have coworkers, to really enjoy reselling, have that stuff in the like really feel like you're part of the community. I don't know if you guys, I mean, I'm sure the majority of you guys already know, but every Tuesday night, I don't know the exact time. Rod Picking and Punching and Cat the Nurse Flipper, they just do a live. They usually have two guests, and everyone just types questions into the chat. And they all just kind of hang out, answer questions, and just like really actually be a community of resellers.
And
I think it's really important to do that. I hope that
they're
Sunny and I can be a podcast where you guys actually feel like you can be a part of this reseller island with us and actually be a part of a community. Because, yeah, I just, especially with the internet today, there's a community for everything. And people can
there
connect,
is
like, people can be like, I want to be a part of this super, super niche anime character within a series that only appeared on one episode, and like there's like a whole community behind just that character. It's wild to me. And so it's like I
it
think
is
it's important to just actually be a part of the community, hop into these live chats, try to go if you can, if it's in your area, and if you have the funds, try to go to, like, Trash to Cash just had their Winter Bash meetup, my and then the Boss Reseller Remix. There's just all these different events, and it's important to like actually be in the community.
yeah. I love. Have you gone to some of the events
I haven't been
recently?
to an event yet. I'm really excited to go to my first one. We'll see what happens with what goes on with the reseller island. Maybe one day you and I will host one, things like that. But
We will.
yeah,
Not a maybe. We
but
will.
I haven't been. I just I'm in Utah, so Vegas is close. But I had things going on during the Boss Reseller Remix. But then all the other ones have been in Cincinnati and Orlando and
Yeah.
Charlotte. All just way too far from me.
Yeah, I've gone to two Boss Reseller remixes. The second one I went to at Boss here in Las Vegas. I was actually a speaker. I went to the camp listing party beginning of last year
Hmm.
um, in Phoenix, Arizona with Liz Perfectly. That was actually where I spoke first. And then October came out, Boss Remix. I spoke there as well. And then Charlotte, North Carolina. That was really fun for FlipCon.
Yeah,
And one thing, as much people as I follow, and hear about, there's still so much other people out there. Like there's communities that haven't been connected
yeah,
yet. And I love that I'm learning about others and learning about things that they sell that help me and mentalities and how to progress or advance or upscale your business has really been helpful because of hearing it from somebody else. Things that I like to say at Boss Remix. When they asked me what did I take from the first time, I said, they're giving me answers to questions I didn't even have yet.
hmm,
And some people straight up afterwards was one of the biggest things they said. These events help people. Somebody says something, you take the time to listen, and it'll help you with things that you weren't even thinking of. And that's amazing when you could take that and not hear something for the first time to run with it. So you only get that by putting yourself out there.
yeah.
And events are amazing. They're fun.
And
It's your people.
and especially for introverts, just hopping into live streams and chats and stuff like that, you're able to make these connections. And then, like we said, when it's available, when it's close, when you have the funds, meeting people in person, you know, meeting you in person was awesome. The first, the first like YouTube influencer. I hate the phrase influencer and YouTuber. I've just got to get over it because
Yeah.
it's just who we are, I guess. But I don't know. But the first like YouTuber I met in person was like Carry American Arbitrage. He reached out on a live, and then we met up in Vegas. And then not long after that, I met you. Not long after that, I met Archie Biscuit Butt. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to meet some other influencers outside of our little Vegas bubble. I'm honestly part of the Vegas bubble because I'm only 90 minutes away. But yeah, I'm really excited to
Yeah.
meet some other people out there as well. But yeah, man, tell me about sourcing. Tell me about sales. What's been cracking this week?
So sourcing, my friends, and for those watching, let us know where you source from if that's all right with you. Some people keep that a secret, but um, some of the sourcing for me growing on YouTube, I'll be honest, there has been people reaching out saying, "Hey, I have this.
Hmm.
You come and look at it if you want it." And at first, I was hesitant towards it because I felt that would be taken away from how my content is naturally. But that's just part of the growth of how people see you, appreciate you and say, hey, you know what? Let me reach out and see if they're willing to come and check this out before anybody else. So first dibs is always awesome. It's just like trying to be the first in line,
Yeah.
which Jay doesn't like the code, so he's gonna be like 25th
Yeah.
out of like 1,000 people. But I find that really awesome. I also get people send me stuff as well. That's very little with me sourcing, but I love going to the flea market here in Las Vegas. And then thrift stores are second, which I used to love thrift stores and only go to thrift stores. But now with the weather warming up, the community yard sales, garage sales, that's going to be popping off. And when I say there's hundreds here in Vegas, there are probably several hundreds. And it's almost year round because the weather isn't too crazy here. So that's usually where I source from. I don't really source online. I haven't gotten into storage auctions yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I hear a lot of mixed opinions on Las Vegas about how it's awesome for sourcing, and then I also hear it's terrible for sourcing. And I don't want to be controversial or anything, but I feel like a lot of that just also comes down to mindset and, just pushing through barriers and doing what you need to. But living 90 minutes outside of Vegas, every time I get down to 0 items to process, which right now I have just 4 to list. So heading to Vegas tomorrow morning, and I'm super pumped.
So you have no dead pile, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've never had a death pile my whole 2.5 years of doing this. Well, just over 2 years.
Yeah, we're the complete opposite.
So no, I don't I don't know. I have a lot of people in my life that struggle from depression and anxiety, and I have been lucky enough to not really suffer from either of those in my life, which I'm super blessed. But I experience anxiety if I have 35 items to list and they're just there. I just like I'll stay up until 2 in the morning, just like processing them if I need to. Just put them in the draft bank, get them listed. Because my thrift store is really good, but there's only one, so I go there and I get 5 or 6, sometimes 8 or 9, sometimes like 13 or 14 items, but then that's it. And so I have to go to Vegas, or I have to go to northern Utah, and every time I travel to Vegas or northern Utah, I try to get 300 items, and then those 300 items are processed and listed in 6 days or less every time. I just can't look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. 300.
Yeah, I usually don't hit the 300 mark, but with the combination of the bins and then thrift stores, and then with it being a Saturday, I'm gonna hit the flea market and the yard sale. I'm predicting at least 150, and I'm shooting for 300. And those are
Yeah,
all
I
those are
mean
all
sometimes
piece
there's deals along with that. Yeah,
those are all piece by piece. I don't buy a ton of lots. Just going out and trying to get 17 hair curling irons, you know.
for 20 remotes.
But yeah, this week, I've had some pretty decent sales. This morning was great. This morning, woke up. I was up for like an hour or so, and then I sold. I mean, I have it right here. I sold this DBX 120X DS. It's just like a Japanese amplifier. I sold this for $270 plus shipping. And the best part
That's
about
good.
it is it's going international. So as long as she gets to Chicago, no returns. Do you
It looks
do?
light too. It looks like a few pounds, not very heavy.
Yeah, it's about 7 or 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll only cost me about, I don't know, $12 to ship it there probably.
nice.
But yeah, do you have international shipping turned on, and do you have
Yeah,
those
I
lists?
have international shipping. But most of my electronics go to Arizona. For some reason, I could tell when
Hmm.
I have electronics of some sort.
Well,
When it
especially if it's
sells,
like a
I
heavy
deposit it
receiver.
to Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah, because Arizona for you is zone 1 or zone 2. Well, actually,
yeah,
probably all zone 2, because zone 1 is like 30 miles, I think. But yeah, I get a lot of my big receiver sales go to like Phoenix or Flagstaff or things like that too. But international. Speaking of international sales, I just sold a Titleist golf bag to Germany. Um, so I usually get like 1, sometimes 2 international sales a week, but this week I've had like 5, maybe 6. For some reason I'm just getting those international sales. People are just willing to pay the extra fees, I guess, because I just do it through the international shipping program. So
right.
the bag, I sold it for $60 on an offer, and then I ended up paying like $214 to get the bag. It was just nuts, man.
Sometimes people want what they want.
Dude, they just want what they want. But yeah, so what is it? You do you go thrifting every day or multiple times a week or just
This
one
week I haven't gone
Tuesday?
at all
Uh,
due to family being down, but
Yeah,
I have a lot of stuff, and at first that was a good thing to say for me, and now I don't even like saying that. I don't want to have anything.
yeah,
I want to get into where the items that I find are listed within a week.
yeah.
6 days would be awesome, but I actually want them done like the next day. Like
Well,
I'm pushing myself to get organized and cleaning up my stuff because that saves a lot of time than the anxiety to sum up some of the things that you
uh-huh.
said. Like it does. I suffer from anxiety and
Yeah,
like depression and stuff like that. I'm a lot better now, but some of this stuff at times was like, oh, I know I need to get listed, but I know I could find other stuff and it'll be worth it as well.
uh-huh.
So I do it to myself, but it's really good to be organized
Well,
and
I
have
just
just
saw
a
you
clear
on
area
the
cleared
I
out.
just saw you on the Power Hour podcast, and John's like, "Oh, so is that listed?" No. Oh, what
Yeah,
about that one?
no,
No. Okay, yeah, that one. Well, no, that one's not listed either. He's like, "Oh, you
and that's
showed
all.
us a
That's all back
thousand
here
dollars.
comes.
Yeah, showed us $1,000 worth of inventory. None of it's listed."
Yeah, we'll talk about that just for a moment. But there, you can't see the background because it's blurred out. But on this display case right here alone, there's probably one, two, three, like several $1,000s of items there.
Yeah.
And I used to dream about finding stuff like that, and now I have it, and I'm like, I'll list it later.
Uh-huh.
But that's just some bad habits I built on myself, and I love talking about my downfalls of myself to help other people not be that way. You
Yeah.
got it listed. Are you a reseller? Or are you a collector? Or are you both? I get it. But if you're a reseller, get that stuff listed. Don't be like me. Don't be like the bad example right now.
Speaking of that, someone said to me the other day, it's like all knowledge is learned through experience. And I'm like, I didn't respond back to that, but I'm like, no. Like, no one has, like, someone can tell me, hey, don't stick your hand on the stove because it's hot. Yeah, okay, thanks for telling me. I won't touch it. I don't have to experience that even one time in my life to understand, oh, yeah, the oven's hot. Be like, no, I have to touch it. Like, maybe it's cold. Maybe they're lying to me. Oh, I have to experience it for myself. No, man. And that's like, that's kind of like how I live. That's kind of how I live my life. So, like, full disclosure, we talk about this all the time, but my TikTok account is very, very, very similar to Carrie's American Arbitrage. And that's because I looked at his content with a pen and notepad and watched it for hours and hours and hours, and then just used his experience that I learned from his experience. I didn't need to experience putting up 8,000 TikToks that only get 4 views. I just filtered to his most popular videos, watched his 70 videos that have over 1 million views, just took notes, and then learned from his experience, and I didn't need my own. And then summer's coming up. It's been really cold. So now my TikTok is going to look just like Matt Thrifter Sifters because he's the best on TikTok for yard sale content. So all my yard sale videos are going to look a lot like Matt's, and I'm just going to try to make it my own and try to improve it in some areas.
Right.
And that's like I don't need to experience like going through everything. Like
Right.
I just one of the ways that I really got into what I sell is I just watched Osborne to Thrift when I first really started watching YouTube content. I literally watched Gary Vee that led me to Harry Tornado and Daily Refinement, and then I actually found Dad Planet. Dad Planet's an awesome channel. I like his stuff. And then the next people I started to find were like Flippy McFlipperson, and then I found Flippy McFlipperson really early. I really like his channel too.
I met
But
him at FlipCon. Pretty awesome dude.
yeah, but I gravitated towards Osborne to Thrift because he just like found all this really good stuff at the DI. I'm like, sweet. I wonder if I can find that stuff at the DI. Oh my gosh, I can. Okay, sweet. He's all the way in Idaho. I'm all the way down here in St. George. So, we can compete with each other and never actually compete with each other because we don't go to the same stores. And I just learned from his experience. I didn't need to experience selling 7% sell-through rate cassettes and Polo Ralph Lauren polos. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna learn from Osborne. and yeah, just sell all the really high sell-through rate Magnavox DVD VCR combo players and digital cameras. And yes, experience is super important because like I can't just watch YouTube videos and like boom, I'm an amazing reseller. But I can just learn so much from all these other YouTubers and all these other creators and then just do what they do and then learn along the way. Oh, okay. My my return rate on cameras is pretty high. I got to figure that out. And then you just through experience you learn how to limit your returns on cameras. Oh, okay. It
Mhm.
seems like this electronic DVD VCR combo players, for example, a lot of them have issues with the actual side of the VHS tape player. So I'm just going to test that. If that's good to go, it's almost always going to work. And so then you just learn that through experience. But it's important of learning through experience and also just learning through others.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of billionaires that will teach you how to be a billionaire, and then you just listen to what they do and then implement it. And combination of just being humble and listening to others and your own experience is what gives you true knowledge, not just experience alone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel with millionaires, right? I feel some people just feel it's out of their reach
Mm-hmm.
to say we are the same. When a lot of millionaires, billionaires, that come up and people get a glimpse of their background, they say they came from nothing
Yeah.
and they just grinded and learned from somebody else and did the same thing. So nothing's out of reach. It just how bad do you want something is really
Mhm.
what it comes down to.
And a lot of these millionaires and billionaires that we're talking about, if you dig deep into their stories, 9 out of 10 of them will say, I had a very crucial mentor. I had someone teach me things that I couldn't teach myself, and I just listened to those things, and I was able to really be successful. So experience is super ultra important, but I think even almost more important than that is just listening to people who know more than you. And whether it's someone who's 40 something listening to someone who's 28 or someone who's 28 listening to someone who's 40 something, like it doesn't matter. We can all learn. I like, man, I've learned so much from my grandparents, and I've learned so much from my younger cousins, and I've learned so much from my parents, and I've learned so much from strangers that are 19 and 46 and 29. It's just I don't know. I feel like we can all learn a lot from each other, and I guess that kind of ties into being coworkers on the reseller island.
Yeah, everybody has something to give. Everybody has something to take from somebody, even if it's not somebody that you like. You know, if you come across content channel and you're like, I don't like the way they talk or look or whatever, because people do
Mhm.
that, they judge. But just give it a minute or two and see what they say. And if it's not for you, get out of it. But there's people that I would probably never follow period or again, but yet I look at what they have and it might be say more viewers right on YouTube or
Yeah,
more views in general, subscribers. And I'm like, there's something about them that people like. There's something I can learn. So I'm looking at
yeah,
numbers to just be open to learning. And I have been big on saying that I am a student of learning about everything. I'm not a know-it-all because I want to learn everything. I'm not really a master of anything. But if I wanted to, I could be really good at something, which I know I can, but I'm too broad with things to where it's
yeah.
squirrel. I follow something, I
Uh-huh.
get really good, and I was like, okay, I'm bored. I want something new. That's just my personality.
Hmm. Yeah. No. Speaking of squirrel, I have the good old ADHD. I feel like everyone has it nowadays. But what's interesting about mine is instead of having, I do have like the squirrel. I want to do a million things at once, and I learned a really awesome quote long ago that said if you chase two rabbits, they both get away. I'm like, oh, sweet, dude. Like I just gotta focus on one rabbit. But one of my main symptom is hyperfixation. So like once I like start doing something, I can't, kind of like what Kobe said, like don't stop until you're finished, and like or like if I like when I started reselling, I immediately started watching 10 hours of content every single day to master it and learn it as fast as I could. When I was into lifting when before I mean like 6 or 7 years ago, I just immersed myself completely and learned everything about protein synthesis and cycles and all that stuff and listen to podcasts about it. So like every time I do something, I like annoyingly become like obsessed with it. and it's dude, sometimes it's like a really good strength, and that sometimes it's like a really bad weakness because I like balance is super important in life, and sometimes I'm a little off balance because I'm just so hyper fixated on like, okay, I'm not doing anything until these 35 items are listed, you know?
I think that's a good thing, especially when you're hyper focused or just disciplined to follow through from getting items that we thrift and then listing it. Because I'm getting back to my old ways of when I started, um, and it's so self rewarding to be like, I got this, I got it done within the time frame, or even faster than what I expected. And then I just try to remind myself, like, I did it once, I did it many times, I got this far. Don't take away from myself. And it's a saying that people say in business, you could always add to, never take away from. And I feel that's something I hold on to as well, of not doing so much and then backscaling to just be content. I think content is a good thing up to a certain point, but I'm hungry for a lot, especially this year. I know I could do so much more, and I'm doing much more this year. It's been pretty wonderful actually,
Yeah.
and it's just getting started.
Yeah. But yeah, so any bigger sales this week you want to talk about?
I just
Or
sold.
just smaller cool sales?
Uh, well, it'll still be the same answer of what I was thinking about. Some jeans. I ended up buying some Victros, Viktros. I think that's what they're called. They're tactical jeans. They look like regular denim jeans, kind of, sort of. And I got them for $9 each. I bought, I believe, 5 pair of jeans, and one, just the last one, finally sold last week, which I thought would be the first one that sold
Hmm.
because it was the more popular, faster selling one. But they all sold for 40, 60, $70. So really good profits.
Are those jeans that you found at that yard sale with that Latino family? Or was that
No,
different?
this was a different one. These I found at Goodwill. I don't think I ever made a video of it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just yesterday was actually my worst sourcing day in a really long time, which is okay because it's just kind of that season. It's cold outside, and I always notice that like January and February are usually pretty rough when it comes to sourcing, just in general, especially because there's no yard sales or garage sales, flea markets. There's usually not too many because it's too cold, and then even thrift stores suffer because there's less donations because it's just so cold that no one actually wants to
Mhm.
put things in the car and then take them to another location. But then it's about to start ramping up on both fronts because it's getting warm enough for people to have yard sales and it's getting warm enough for people to actually make donations. So both of those are going to go up. So now's a really good time to start sourcing more. But stay disciplined within your business guidelines. Don't overbuy things like that. Anyway, but yesterday I only found one item in my really good thrift store. I'm like, oh wow, I might blank today. But it ended up being like $120 HP calculator. So it was okay. If you're only going to find one item, it's nice to find an item that sells for 120 and only has 17 listed and 85 sold. So that's nice.
Yeah, that's good. Good sell through rate. Would Would you go on, or have you ever had any times that you have not found anything thrifting?
Oh yeah, yeah, especially in the beginning.
Is it common?
No, no. So it hasn't happened to me in over a year. I haven't. I blank at like thrift stores. So like right now, if I drove to like a Savers in Las Vegas, there's a good, not a good chance, but there's a chance that I'll blank at that one store. So that happens. But I'm just talking about my first thrift store that I hit every single morning at open. I've only blanked on that like 3 times, and it was in my first year of doing this. But yeah, that thrift store is so good that I almost blanked today for the first time in like 400 days or so. But yeah, no, all
How
the
did
time.
that make you feel inside
Huh?
with just one item? Although it was an
Dude,
amazing item, but
well,
how did it feel?
yeah, it sucks too because I make like 2 or 3 TikToks every single day, and it's like, oh man, dude, it's gonna be tough to make 2 or 3 videos today that are a minute long. I ended up only making one video yesterday for TikTok because I just didn't have enough content, and I had already made too many "don't buy these" videos for the week. So, but yeah, no, but like if I just go into a random thrift store right now, there's a good chance that you blank. It happens all the time, but it just depends on your business model too. Because like I mean, anyone can go into a thrift store and buy 40 things that aren't really going to sell.
Mhm.
And then a lot of people go in and just because of knowledge and experience, they pass by the 4 things that actually have a fast sell through rate, but you just don't have enough knowledge about it yet. It happens all the time. Just got to keep
Mhm.
going in every single day or week or month and just
Right.
keep learning more. But yeah, I remember back in the day when I first started selling, when I would look things up and I'd be like, "Oh, sweet, this pan sells for $40. It's only $4 here. That's awesome." And so I buy it, and then I realized, oh, it was $40 free shipping, and the shipping on this big old pan is going to be like $19 minimum. So after everything's said and done, oh crap, I think I might have lost a little bit of money on this, or I only made like $3. That's a trap that a lot of beginners fall into as well. Is like you got to see what is free shipping, what is plus shipping. Because if something is $10 free shipping and you buy it for $3, you just lost money, you know? And it's
Yeah,
hard it's hard to
at the
understand
beginning
that.
when I started, there was a ton of stuff that I didn't know about completed listings. I
Mhm.
only knew what a listing price was,
Yep.
and that kicked me in the butt. But at the same time, I was finding valuable items
Yeah.
that was sold for hundreds, $50. I was getting for $2 or $3. For it took about 6 months until I actually started buying something like that was over $5. Even then, it was a
Yeah.
no biter for me. I was freaking worried. I felt like it was gonna make me go broke. It was the tolerance that I had and not being educated enough to make better decisions. So I just started off in t-shirts for the longest times until I started learning as things started running out to look in other areas throughout thrift stores, mostly Goodwill.
Yeah. It all just comes with time and reps and listening to people smarter than you. Dude,
Yes, definitely.
I just love listening to people smarter than me. It really is the best. But yeah, we've already come up on an hour pretty much. This is nice. This is it's gone by really quick. I'm having a good time. But
Yeah,
yeah, I guess we can get to the third segment of the podcast, which is what did we say? The reseller water cooler. Just
yeah,
hang out.
reseller, water cooler,
Yeah, dude.
chiller,
So I got a surgery this month, and I have recovered from it
pretty
pretty
fast. It's kind of
much.
like Wolverine.
I'm like 85% recovered, the doctor said, so like I can start lifting things. So I've been to the gym the last 2 days, and it's dude, I'm super pumped about it. Um, I want to be in the 1,000 pound club where your bench, your squat, and your deadlift max all add up to be 1,000 pounds. So like I'll have to be able to bench like probably 240 and then
Mhm.
squat around 400 and then deadlift around 400, something like that. So
So have you always exercised, or is it something you just started getting back into?
yeah, I played sports in high school.
What sports?
Got a ton of concussions, so I didn't really do anything my senior year. But I've always played sports, and I married a D1 athlete. Um, but yeah,
Competitive. That sounds good.
I really enjoyed working out. But when I actually first started this eBay business, just like any other business, it takes a while to get things off the ground, and it takes a while to get things profitable. The cool thing about this business is you can be profitable day one, which is really cool. Buy
Mhm.
something, get something for free and sell it for $38 or something. Um, but it takes time to really build your store and do all that. So when I first started this business, I was working out. I weigh like 162 pounds right now, and when I started this eBay business, I weighed like 184, and I could bench 250 pounds. Now I think I could probably bench like 160. I could probably just bench my body weight right now. That's probably it. Because when I started this business, I just hyperfixation, man. I worked like 14 hours a
Mm.
day every single day until I made it to about 1,800 items. And then I was finally able to scale back. And then by the time I was able to scale back and I was ready to go to the gym, had a hernia. and so and I had my hernia for like a year before I finally got the surgery. So I just couldn't work out that whole time either, or else just my guts would spill out of me or something like that. So this whole like 2 years that I've done this eBay business, I've actually only been able to work out 4 or 5 times. My
Mm.
dog is yelling at me. Man, this feels like one of my lives.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm actually just really excited to just work. And another thing that eBay has taught me is being ultra consistent gives you results. because I was always consistent in my workouts, but I would just like do a full body workout for like 4 or 5 weeks. And then I'd like switch to a push pull leg workout. And then I'd switch again to a upper lower split. And then I'd switch again and switch again and switch again. And so my results weren't as quick. So I'm excited to just freaking stick to routines for longer and just work out for the next 1,000 days and see what happens. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, I've been going back to the gym for the past 2 3 months, off and on this week because of family here. But I definitely want to get back. I'm not the biggest that I've weighed. I was 255 when I moved here from Hawaii, and then I got down to 175. By that time, I was already a kickboxing instructor, which was pretty cool to be like a self advertisement person because being
Yeah.
255 and being a kickboxer, and then I'm shrinking down. People are like, "Oh my goodness, this guy was big." For my weight and my height of a very tall 5'8". But as people were seeing me shrink, it was like almost a really good ambassador in person to be like, look, they're doing it physically. And I had a lot of people come up into my office, but I lost a lot of strength, like free weights and stuff like that, just kickboxing. And then later on down the road, I ended up getting a sciatica, which kicked me in the butt, literally like kicked my life sideways and then some. So I couldn't do a lot of things for very long, and it wasn't until just I think Boss Reseller Remix is when I started up again in October, and I pulled a calf muscle pushing a fellow veteran's truck out of the intersection. So there
Oh, wow.
goes my calf muscle, and then not until just a couple of weeks ago, I was finally able to jog for the first time. So that
Yeah.
little bit just goes a long way of doing things the way I want to do it. But I used to be a beast, and I believe if I was one way in the past, that I could get close to it. Maybe not run as fast, but physically get there.
Uh-huh.
So I'm excited about getting back into the gym and running outside as well, and mountain biking. I love mountain biking. I
Hmm.
just haven't done it as much.
Yeah, every year my wife and I mean, we've only been married for a year and a half now, but we dated for a year and a half before we got married, maybe a little longer. So we're coming up on like 4 years together, and every year for New Year's we write down our theme of the year. So like this year it's the year of health. So I'm super pumped to get in the gym, stop drinking these. This is actually the first one I've had in a while,
What
but
is
I'm
that?
super excited. Super excited to get into the gym and get nice and healthy and fit. It's gonna be dope.
It makes being healthier makes a world of difference in everything that you do. Like your mind's just
Hmm.
so crisp. You feel like you're walking on air. Like things are just better mentally, which helps you physically. And I struggle. I was really bad. I was out of shape a couple of months ago to where I could feel it. Every little thing I was doing, I knew it was because of
Hmm.
my self conscience of knowing I was in the wrong of not taking care of myself. And just a few weeks of getting back into the gym, like I was already building back that good habit of going. Just like you said, being consistent earlier goes with a lot of things. It's not just being a good reseller and finding great things. It
Yeah.
has to go with everything that you are putting yourself into with what you want.
No, yeah. Everything leaks into everything is what I've kind of discovered in my short time here on the earth. Just like, yeah, all business mindsets help with my fitness, and all those principles help with my relationship with my wife, and all those principles help with my relationship with God, and all that. It's just all like, it all just intertwines, and if
Right.
you can just figure out how to be good at something, it's gonna all the ships are gonna rise at the same time. And if you start to do the flip side, if you do something that you know you shouldn't or that negatively affects one thing, it negatively affects everything, and all the
Yeah.
ships
Domino
sink together.
effect.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But yeah, did you see like I was mentioning earlier in Cat the Nurse Flippers the her life, did you see Jimmy flexing that shark tooth Broncos hat? Dude.
I saw the thumbnail. I didn't watch this weekend because again, family was here. I'm usually in there
Uh-huh.
in the chats. I haven't been in too much other than Regina's and Derek's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hump Day Wednesday, Hump Day Tuesday, whatever day it is, whatever Hump Day is.
Hump Day's Wednesday.
Uh, but I jump into theirs. But to bounce back with that, like it's good to be in the chats, folks, to
Yeah.
communicate, to leave some knowledge because we don't know everything. So if there's something like your opinion is welcomed, You know, we learn
Yeah.
from it, whether it's something we don't want to hear or not. It teaches us a lot about who's watching and what people are thinking, and also how you think, but how we could take it and learn from it and help us figure out things that maybe we may not have said to get back to it. So that's one thing I know. I mentioned, and I'm pretty sure you're on the same boat. The comments are some things I do want to highlight in the future and here of
Oh yeah, for
what
sure.
somebody said, and then we could use that as something to talk about. You know, I think it would be good topics and to introduce, bring in the comments as well with our content here on the podcast, which is going to be every Monday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so every Monday.
Yep, every Monday. And then we're hoping to do lives as well. Not necessarily on like a strict schedule, but hopefully, maybe every week for the first little bit, and maybe like twice a month or once a month. Hopefully we're able to just have live hangouts, and we can just have interact with the chat and all that stuff too. It'll be fun. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was just so
you mentioned earlier that we could bring in other YouTubers. I think it would be interesting to bring in people that are, say, just resellers or collectors too. You know, not just
yeah.
YouTubers. You know,
Hmm.
if they want to, because a lot of people want to go live and say I would talk, and then when they get on a camera, they do get shy. It does take a
Yeah,
little bit
happens.
of getting used to, but I think it's a good experience that you do
Yeah,
have to put yourself in if this is what you want to do as well.
yeah. No, yeah, but dude, it was dope. That hat that Jimmy was wearing was dope because we as resellers were always looking for the shark tooth or the
Yeah,
3 pin stripe on the side, and dude, he was oh, dude, it was a dope hat, and I
yeah,
think he's originally from Colorado, so I'm sure he's a Broncos
yeah. He
fan.
he reps Colorado. The first shark tooth that I've seen or witnessed was here in Las Vegas. I wasn't there,
Uh,
but know of Art the resale and the vendor that he,
yeah,
he got this from. I think it was a Raiders shark tooth, and he talked the guy into 250 along with a few other hats, and I think it easily sold for over 1100. But I'm just like,
yeah,
man, they are shark tooth hats are a must. That's a bolo. You should look that up if
yeah.
you don't know about it.
No, I think my first and only shark tooth I've ever found was also a Raiders shark tooth in my first year of reselling, and I think I sold it for like 189 or something like that, just under $200. Pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
I've never found one, but I have found some really cool polo hats, several handful of polo hats that have sold for over 100. One of them I think was close to 200. Had a horse on it, little leather patch with a horse, and it was pretty cool because the reseller was right next to me, um, and his whole group. They were. I went to the racks and they just went on both sides of me, and I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing. I'm just gonna get away. I'm that type of person. I'll just get away. I get very anxious with too much people crowding me, so I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the far corner away from everybody. And one of the guys just followed me. He was literally physically right next to me, is reaching over the hats, and then he finally like, oh, that hat ain't nothing. He walks away, but there was a hat right underneath it, just a beige or sage hat with a little leather patch. It had a horse on it. It was like embossed almost, and I looked it up, and
Mhm.
it was a Polo Ralph Lauren hat, and those are very popular for reselling and go for over $100 easily. So I only
Yeah,
got it for
that's
like
dope.
$3. So
Are
there's
you
been
are you a hat guy?
I am a hat guy. I just
Yeah,
don't find too much of them too often, but I have quite a bit, even blank hats, mad
yeah.
hat, mad.
Like if you like go to like because I know you kind of like. Do you like hockey or did you just go to like a random game or?
I like hockey. I don't follow it as much as I want to, but we talk about it more each year, me and my wife, because we want to go to games. We went to a
Yeah,
Las Vegas Knights game, and that was pretty awesome. They got their butts
yeah.
whooped, but regardless. But I want to learn more
So
about
like
sports.
so like an event like that, do you like wear a hat or you just kind of
No,
yeah, not really. Yeah, I've like tried. Sometimes I try to wear hats, especially because I'm so white. I get so sunburnt, but I
you
just
get really red in the sun.
oh no, dude, I do. When I was in Mexico for 2 years, they would always call me shrimp because I was just always pink. I was just always sunburned. Dude. Yeah, and I've never. So I get migraines, like
Mm.
like oh, dude, migraines are the worst ever. But
Be-
like
because of
I
the
I
sun, because
also
you're bright.
no, so it isn't because they're hereditary. So like, there's nothing I can do about it. I just get them every 6 weeks or so. So I get like 8 or 10 of them a year. But it helped. They can also be triggered from like a flash of light, and so I should wear sunglasses when I drive around because I'll just get that flash of light. I'm like, oh crap, dude, I'm gonna get a migraine. But I hate wearing things. So like I can feel my sunglasses on my face and I can feel like my wife and I, we joked when we were engaged, just like, how am I gonna actually wear my ring? Because I can just feel it on me. But I've actually haven't noticed it as much as I thought I would. But I always say I'm gonna wear my watch. I never do. Like today's like one of the only days. It's just dude, I just feel everything on me. It's weird. Just an odd individual.
Yeah, for the longest time, it's been a week since I finally put my watch back on. But usually it felt
Mhm.
like my wallet or my phone. I need it on me. I need to feel it. But when I noticed I didn't wear it one day, I was like, oh, that's odd. Not like I need to go anywhere, and I got family here, so I was just chilling at home, not worrying about time. But it's been a good week without it, and even keeping my phone down at times. But one thing when it comes to this chiller thing, I'm curious to what other people have to say in the comments, our viewers say in the comments for the chill time, because I think that's going to be a lot of the comments that come into this chill time of like reacting to comments. I think that's going to
Uh-huh.
be. I'm just curious about how this all is going to go. I've been wanting to do a podcast for over a year and a half, and then
Yeah.
it's just trying to find chemistry with somebody. And with you, just running into you, it feels like I've known you for a while. A lot of people say that, and I think that's just the vibes that you give off, and just chill. I'm more of like a good listener, and I like the experience hearing what people have or say. Where I enjoy that, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. Like, keep going,
Uh-huh.
don't stop talking. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very good at participating in this. This is something different for me that I've been eager to do, and I think the podcast is going to be great, especially future meetups and things that I may work on, like merch or stickers. Like, I know it's baby
Yeah, I'm
stuff, and we
excited.
should slow our roll, but I'm excited about a
Yeah.
lot about this podcast.
Yeah, no, I am too. We're already envisioning that we're gonna have, 80,000 million subscribers, but we're
Yeah,
just gonna
million.
see how it goes.
Yeah,
But yeah, dude, I'm really excited for I don't know, like this sounds cliche and stuff, but like I really just want to strengthen the community. I really want like people to have more of a place here because dude, the community is already strong and there's there's negativity, there's drama in
that's
every
everywhere.
every aspect of every life, but like overall, like I feel like this is a positive community. And I just ran a poll and I had you participate. I also had Harry Tornado and the Nurse Flipper and Justin Resells and Flippin' Ain't Easy and Caleb Sells. We all asked our audiences how sales were, and we gave like 5 options of like really good down to like, hey, I'm quitting eBay. Because a lot of people right now are saying like, man, like a lot of people are quitting eBay, a lot of people are falling off, a lot of people are scaling back. And that actually ended up being less than 3%. So it's like sometimes that 3% can be super loud and super noisy. But a lot of people are struggling with sales. A lot of people are reporting below average sales, but a lot of people are reporting as expected on sales or even better than they even expected. And it's hard to hear that because like just psychology and media in general. So like in the NBA, Nikola Jokic, he's one of the best players of all time already. And he's won 2 MVPs. He's probably going to win a third MVP in just 4 short years. And if ESPN talks about him, they get 40,000 views. But if ESPN talks about how LeBron James Jr., is struggling at USC, they get 50 million views. And so, like, when you focus on the negative, it just gets more views. And we all do that. Like one of my strategies on YouTube is I do slightly negative titles, and then I have a very positive video, and it just the slightly negative thumbnail gets more views, and it gets to more people. But I just feel like a lot of people right now are saying like, oh man, like eBay is terrible. No one's getting sales. But there are a ton of people out there that are having really awesome experiences, really life-changing experiences through eBay and through reselling. And I kind of want to like highlight that more.
Yeah,
Because some people really are struggling. And some people that are really good at this job are still struggling. And we also want to be there for them and help them and like, just be a good be a good friend and be a good coworker, be a good, reseller island buddy with them. But I also want to highlight people that are like, yeah, man, like this is the best month I've ever had. This is the best year I've ever had. Because a lot of people are reporting that as well.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to hear more of growth of it's doing better. It wasn't so great, but it can be better. Be optimistic, but also be willing to work towards again your why. But yeah, Jay asked me if I would ask in my YouTube community just to create a poll, and it took a while for people to answer because not everybody comes on at the time. And I just opened it now, and I got 45 votes,
Yeah.
and they're a lot better than what I thought. I think it's pretty even along the way. Um, did you want to share the screen on this? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video to
Oh, we
dive
can save
deep
it.
into this because you can share it on the screen if you can figure it out. But yeah, my results are a lot different than Josh's, and Josh's results are a lot different than John's, and John's results are a lot different than Justin's, and Justin's are a lot different than Kat's. So like, I'm really interested to dive deep into these numbers. I really like that you did a follow up poll, and you're like, "Hey, are you even a reseller? Do you just
Yeah,
like do you like thrift?" Because
because
that skews the results, and
yeah,
also like Josh is a very successful vlogging channel, and so a ton of people that follow him as well aren't resellers as well. And so that skews the numbers. And then like John, for example, probably almost every single one of his followers are resellers.
John
And
flipping
so
in
that
easy.
data is also, yeah, flipping in easy. That information is also going to be very different and very important. So I'm excited to like really break down all those numbers.
Yeah, all our channels are different. That's why, and it should be different. But when I asked how our eBay sales for 2024, after I posted it, I wondered, wait. All the comments that I get, some people are saying they want to start reselling. Some are like, I'm not a, they
Mhm.
just blatantly say it. I'm not a reseller, but I like your thrifting videos, or I like thrifting videos in general,
Or
and
I like your hair.
I wanted to follow up because I just wanted to see where things are. Not that I would get the same amount of votes for them, but I had a lot more people vote on, it. Which one are you, a reseller, collector, reseller, or and collector? Neither. I just love to watch thrift videos. And then my last one was I just watched to see your hair. And I had
Uh-huh.
several people that commented on that, which I did it as a joke, but that's me and my personality of things that I try to tie in with other things. So
But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Negativity gets views, and there are a lot of people having negative experiences. But I really want to also, you know, and it's hard. It's hard because those people that are having those negative experiences, it is tough to hear that other people are exceeding. But I think it is super important that we shine the light on successes, and that we talk to people who are having those positive experiences as well. Because dude, a lot of people are doing amazing. And this reselling gig it's dope, man. It really is.
I concur.
So it's not as easy as some YouTubers make it seem, and it's also not as hard as some YouTubers make it seem. It's somewhere in the middle. It's really tough work. Sometimes the margins aren't as great as you thought they were going to be. Sometimes they're incredibly better than you thought they were going to
Yeah.
be. But it all just comes down to work and seeing what's working for you. And dude, reselling is an awesome opportunity because my dad just started an eBay shop, and he's super excited about it. He has 31 active listings, and he's already selling two a day every day. He already has like a 7% sell through rate. And obviously, it's not going to continue like that when he's at 500, 1,000. If he had 3,000 items in his store and he's selling 200 a day, that's just not possible. I mean, it is, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Think you need a
But like,
team
yeah,
when
dude,
you do that.
but yeah, he just kind of has no idea what he's doing. I'm just kind of teaching him along the way, and I'm just telling him like, hey man, if it doesn't have a fast sell through rate, just leave it behind. And dude, he's like, he can't lose money. Like he's dude, he's gonna kill it. And
Yeah,
I'm
high sell
excited to
through
share
rates are
his
important,
experiences on my
very
channel.
important if you want things to move fast and make fast money and reinvest it and keep the circle of reseller life going. And
Hmm.
for me, I get excited sometimes and I overlook the sell through rates, but I know through my
Hmm.
experience at times it's okay because I know it's going to sell based off what I know I could sell,
Exactly.
even though other people may not have the best of luck. I think majority of my eBay that I do good in that other people don't, that they tell me in the comments like I can't sell that to save my life, like Ariat jeans. I sell them for
Yeah.
like $45 after a few weeks. Majority of them sell for 60 $65 within a 3 days. And I get
Yeah.
complaints, not so much of me, but self complaints of I can't
In
even do
general,
that.
yeah.
And I think it's because my eBay also has followers, and a lot of people forget that you have clientele there that are waiting for the same things to come up, and they'll buy it from you. Sometimes you'll see repeat buyers, but that's why I also use coupons at times just for previous buyers.
Yeah, well, and these DVD VCR combo players, for example,
Those are
they
gold.
have wild sell-through rates of like, 200%, 400%. Even like I've seen some that have like a 1000% sell-through rate. But some people still will, they'll be like, well, I've had one sitting for like 7 weeks. Like I thought you said that it would sell almost immediately because it has that sell-through rate.
Yeah.
And when I list them, I have they sell usually in hours. Like I'll list this and it'll I can't remember if I showed this or not. Have
No, not
this.
yet.
Um, yeah, I got this for $5. If it's broken, it'll sell for $30 almost immediately, and then if it works, it'll sell for like 80 or 90. But I sell them immediately because there's 3 accounts that snipe them on eBay and then resell them on Amazon. And so those 3 guys, they follow me, and then they get an alert every time I post one. And so usually like I'll have it like 14 minutes or 3 hours. It's really just whenever eBay sends out the notification, because those guys are making a full-time living buying those and then selling them on Amazon.
Hmm.
And so like other people that they're listing them for the first time, those 3 guys, I won't say their eBay store names. I don't know why, but those 3 guys, they just immediately buy from me because they have that notification set. Where if someone else who's never listed one ever, they're not gonna sell it as fast as me. Not because of viewer sales or anything like that, but just because I've already established that I've sold many of them, so they follow me because they know that I'm gonna get one every 2 weeks or so, or even I don't know. Sometimes during the summer, I'm getting like 4 or 5 a week, which is awesome, and they just sell immediately. It's awesome.
With your growth on social media, because you have grown very very good, which I'm proud of you,
Yeah.
Jay. With I
Thanks,
wish
man.
somebody had told me that as I did it. But anyways, I've outgrown that. But do you feel like you get viewer buys?
Yeah, so I joke about this. So because I'm doing a what sold video that I just record throughout the week, and I actually just sold a brand new sealed massager to a viewer, and she's like, "Hey, I follow you on YouTube. This is awesome. Like, thanks." I'm like, "Oh, sweet. Yeah, thank you so much." But like the items that I sell, they're not like pop culture, or they're not like, I don't know. So like I do get viewer sales. I think I've probably had like 10 or 12 since I really started doing this YouTube thing, like 10 or 12 months ago. So I guess I get like one per month. I'm assuming that that's going to go up as my JRide Picks channel starts to expand as well, because that's like people that typically are buying, from people that they like on the internet, I guess. But yeah, I'm just selling items that like people need like, dude, I don't care how much you love me, you're not gonna just buy a Sony RMT-V504A remote control that goes to a
I
VCR
thought you were
DVD
gonna say
combo
it was a
player.
calculator.
No, not yet. So that's a remote. So like no viewer is gonna buy that. Now a viewer might like look into my shop and see that I have 40 golf clubs, and they're like, oh, I like golf. I was gonna get a new pitching wedge anyway. I'll support J-Ride while I'm doing it. But like the majority of my items aren't like viewer sellish items, but I do sell to viewers here and there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I've had
they
a
always
few,
just
but
leave a note.
I've been pushing more of whatnot and knickknacks, more of
Yeah, I
more of
was gonna
things.
ask you, tell us more about what about knickknacks.
It's a
How's that
marketplace created
experience?
by Jocelyn, Crazy Lamp Lady,
Yeah,
and within that, it's pretty much like a whatnot, but it's more of like an umbrella almost. I could list items. It's like a website. You could have your own if you wanted, but why not be under the name of like the Crazy Lamp Lady if she invites you? I think that's a good
yeah,
plus to be invited personally by her and be approved to sell on there. And then you could also do lives. So imagine whatnot for people who do whatnot. You could have things in your marketplace to buy it now, not just when you're live. And this is kind of the same thing. I just like the layout. It's better. It's more curated to what I buy, she buys, and I think 2,000 people right now or 1,200 people, other sellers who all kind of like the same thing. Like say antique malls. It's pretty much what's coming
yeah.
onto this thing. that people, when they come over, they know they're going to find quite a bit of stuff. You could have offers available. There's no difference other than it's under somebody that's very popular and very big, that's created a name for
Yeah.
herself, and she's bringing people along with her. And I've done pretty good with it. I still have a lot to learn of what people want and certain things, so I'm trying to understand that, and I've been diving deep into it of what's actually selling and when. Is it only this one time? Maybe I'll find another item that's sold before, a similar item, and say it doesn't sell. But I don't get butthurt about it because sometimes the same buyer or buyers don't always come in at the same time. So for me, I've been trying to do Tuesdays, but I just did a whatnot or a knickknacks yesterday, which isn't a Tuesday. So it was a little different, but I still did very well. Made like
Yeah.
$200, a little 230-ish dollars in sales in an hour. And I just think of it like, man, I know I'd done better, but also that's over $200 in an hour. That when I worked for a company, I was getting maybe 15, $16 an hour for entry level jobs. So I
Hmm.
always tell myself like that's awesome. You're only going to get better, and I have been. So, and it's just the way some days are, like thrifting. You don't always find everything, valuable stuff
Yeah,
sometimes.
dude. Especially when I was like building up in my experiences in life and finance, I used to just think of everything in terms of Taco Bell burritos. So it's like, oh, dude, because I just had a job that paid like $16 an hour, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's like 8 burritos, you know, or like, and then I started doing this summer sales job where I would knock on people's doors and sell them pest control. And each deal that I got, I would get about $300, and I'm like, dude, that's like 120 burritos, you know. And so then I started to get pretty built up in that, where I got pretty good at it, and I was getting a ton of sales. And then I'm like, okay, if I take tomorrow off, I'm sacrificing, I don't know, 1,500 burritos, and I just can't do
Yeah,
that.
gotta
That's
store
funny.
up on those burritos.
One of my biggest accomplishments of my life was I am the November of 2017 customer of the month on the top at Taco Bell on Boulevard in St. George, Utah. Customer of the month, Taco Bell 2017 November. Had my face on the wall for a whole month. It was awesome.
That's pretty spectacular.
Oh yeah, dude, Taco Bell. Taco Bell has my heart.
I
That
had
taco is dope.
when I worked at the Wynn Casino as security. This was when I was just a basic purple coat, ground security, floor security. I ended up getting, I think, employee of the month, and I was so proud of myself until after like a few more months passed by. I'm like, they kind of just give it to all people that have been there for a certain amount of time that hasn't really gotten in
Yeah.
trouble or give people. It's more of like, I like this person, I don't like these people, of
Uh
management
huh.
picking me. So I didn't find it to after a while to be so rewarding, but I think I would have preferred your plaque over mine. you know I think that would be cooler. I could have been like, I
Dude,
was
Taco Bell,
security at the
dude.
Win, and this was awesome, and I got an award there, employee of the month. I should be grateful for it
Uh huh.
because I got an award, but it's funny how you look at things differently after time. Of I'd rather go with this one than the one that
Dude,
I got.
it's just something silly and funny.
Yeah,
But like, dude, it was dope. It was. I'm
that's
like,
pretty
wow, this
awesome.
is this is rad. And then they gave me like free Taco Bell for the month of October. No, December, the month after I
Sheesh.
won. I'm just like, oh sweet. They're like, yeah, you can come spend $6 a day here every day like this month. I'm like, sick. It was
I do not have
awesome.
to work for this, for all of these
Yeah,
burritos.
but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're an hour and a half in. This was our first episode. I really enjoyed it. I This went better than I thought it would. I
That was
think this was
horrible,
really
but I'll
fun.
get better.
We can only go up from here, right?
Yeah, because we're at the bottom.
No, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. I gotta go start dinner. My wife will be home from soccer practice in probably about 45 minutes, so that'll be good. I get to connect with her. But yeah, let us know in the comments below how to go. What was good? What was bad? What do you want to see next time? What do you want to see less of? Just I really enjoyed it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
think
get
I think
better.
this
It's
is
our
a
it's
good
our
one.
first time going. We talked about some topics of what we want to do, and we're always gonna try to have three subjects, right? Of breaking down and the last part would be more of like this chill part. We're on an island all together, kicking back. So I like that it has
Yep.
different things of what we're working on, and it'll get a lot smoother, especially with your support, with your feedback, you sharing it with family and friends, and saying, "Hey, come check out these guys." It's going to be fun, and I know in the future, especially near future, it's going to be something amazing. It's going to be something special. That's part of the community that we're bringing, and you could help us bring along the way.
Yep. But yeah, we're pumped. And for all of my subscribers specifically, we're gonna refrain from talking about sell-through rate as much as we can because I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about it by now.
Yeah, I didn't get that memo
But
earlier, so I apologize.
no, no, I'm just kidding, just kidding. But no, yeah, it was a good time. We really appreciate you guys watching this first episode. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that junk, and yeah, we're really excited for next week. And then we'll keep you guys updated on when we do lives and just hang out on the island together. But yeah, if Sonny, if you got anything else to say, I'm
Wait,
good to go.
so are we island boys?
I'm that island boy.
He said it. I was like, oh no.
That's what I'm
No,
talking
I
about.
got nothing to add. I'm just I'm excited for get this to be out, get put together. Um, everything I said earlier, like we're growing from right here. Like we're starting,
Yeah,
so it'll be good.
yeah. Hey, consume the content however you'd like, but we have it in mind that you guys, listen to this while you work. So we really hope we can be a positive impact on the community, and we appreciate you guys stopping by.
Yeah, come by every Monday
Thanks, guys.
and in between days.
Yep.
Rewatch the stuffs.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh, we got that.
I don't.